Today, I have the pleasure of speaking to Honorable Bardish Chagger, who is actually the Minister for Youth and Diversity and Inclusion. Minister, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course. Now, I want to get right into it. I think in Canada, there's so many students right now that have uncertain futures, whether it's financially, whether it's, with mental health. What are some of the financial aids first that students can access as of today?
So basically, we just see the legislation and regulatory changes taking place right now so that we can have students receive the Canada Emergency Student Benefit. What we did first thing was actually we came out with a benefit because we knew that people had lost their jobs because of COVID-19. And now, by working with students from coast to coast to coast, we are responding to students because they'd be looking for a job right now so that they'd be able to pay their tuition in the fall. So the Canada Emergency Student Benefit will be able to support them with $1,250 per month. And then for students who have children or students with disabilities, they'll be able to receive a top-up and an additional $750 a month.
And there's also so many recent graduates that I think are entering such a rocky job market where, there were 8 million Canadians that applied to the CERB, and so many students right now might not actually know if their careers are going to take off. Is there any help being provided to those recent graduates that don't know what to do?
So the Canada Emergency Student Benefit is for students or graduates that graduated in December 2019 or that are returning to school. But you're absolutely correct. So when it comes to young people, students, they're all at different stages in their lives. So students are concerned about not only financial insecurity, but also job prospects. Many of them want to prepare for their future or continue on their journey and get that Canadian work experience so that they would be able to continue and contribute. And so that's why the Canada Summer Jobs Program is so important. What we've done is recognize that even within the COVID-19 context, we need to have employment opportunities available. So 76,000 jobs will be posted on jobbank.gc.ca for young people to apply. And entrepreneurs from coast to coast to coast have also stepped up to say, we have opportunities for young people to gain that work experience. We want to work with them. And young people have the energy and know-how to help really strengthen our communities. They can help heal our communities now more than ever, because when you live in a community, you know best what your community needs, and that's why these job opportunities are so important. But will be launching the Canada Student Service Grant so that students would be able to contribute and volunteer in their communities to help be part of the solution and help, once again, heal their communities. And what we're doing is we're providing an incentive of up to $5,000 that students will be able to use for their post-secondary costs in the fall. So we've been quite creative as to the programs we're coming forward with because students and young people have helped us shape these programs. They were saying that the Canada Student Grants needs to be increased because of the uncertainty right now, and that's what we've done. So up to $6,000 on student grants will be available to students. That's the non-repayable portion of student loans is the grant portion, but we've also increased Canada Student loans where it used to be $210 a week. Now for every week of study, it will be $350 a week for every eligible week. And we've loosened the restrictions to make sure that more students can qualify and have that support now more than ever, because that's when they need it.
And you mentioned community, and I think something that's so important with our community is to make sure that the mental health is in check. And again, uncertain futures can bring a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. So what resources do young Canadians have if they feel stressed or depressed with the situation?
And I thank you so much for asking that question, because young people are concerned not only about their own well-being, but the well-being of their loved ones as well as for their communities. And I will say young people have done a fabulous job of, using technology to reach out to their grandparents and their loved ones to really create platforms. And there's young people across the country that are part of the Prime Minister's Youth Council that have started the CAN Youth Network. And I was on a webinar with them so that we could have these conversations. Our government, actually, under the leadership of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, has also invested in Kids Help Phone to make sure that there are more counselors and volunteers and people available so that anytime someone calls because they need someone to talk to, or they need to reach out or know that they're not alone, that they are able to make that phone call. And part of the Canada Service Corps is the ability to receive a micro grant. So there used to be 1,800 microgrants. We have now increased that to 15,000 microgrants, where young people are able to receive up to $1,500 and then be able to provide a service or a program or an opportunity within their communities to be part of, increasing the well-being of loved ones, because it is going to take all of us working together to ensure that we get through this. It will take all of us working together to fight COVID-19, and we know that we will be able to do that, and mental health is a very important part.
Another thing that I think young people are, I guess, like they are very, very proactive, but on another side, young people can also sometimes feel invincible. And sometimes they think this isn't going to affect me, especially since the news started out really putting the focus on the elderly population. So, what message would you have for everyone who thinks summer is coming, I can go outside because I'll get sick and I'll survive this?
I'll tell you, young people I would say, are not only the leaders of tomorrow, they are the leaders of today. And the Prime Minister is absolutely correct when he made that comment. And that's because young people are concerned about their grandparents, they are concerned about their communities. And right now, what we're saying is the health and safety of all Canadians is our priority. So just hang tight. Be careful and just make sure that you are maintaining physical distancing of at least 6 feet from somebody else. We will see that the conversations are taking place between the federal government, provinces, territories, regions, and municipalities as to how do we kickstart this economy and how do we create those opportunities. But what we're doing is making sure that we're creating them by using technology. We continue to work and we continue to have these conversations because we have become more innovative. And so I would say continue doing what we're asking you to do right now, continue staying home if you can. If you have to go outside, continue maintaining social and physical distancing. Make sure that you're washing your hands. Don't touch your eyes, nose, and mouth, because we want to ensure that everybody remains healthy. And we don't want really to see a second wave be worse than the first wave, right? And we know that science is demonstrating that there is that potential. So let's all continue working together. Let's hang tight. We know that we can do it. And I know that I have full confidence in young people that they will help lead the way to ensuring that we are all safe and we are all healthy.
Now, on the other hand, in other jurisdictions, we've actually seen an increase in, unfortunately, a lot of violence, crimes, domestic abuse, and especially in those minority communities. So I want to know, have you noticed if this is happening in Canada as well? And if so, what is being done about it?
I'll tell you that whenever there's challenging times, it's really unfortunate that we do see increases in domestic violence across the board. And that's why Minister Monsef and our government have made investments when it comes to ensuring that women's shelters have the supports they need right now. If you look at the work of Minister Husin and our government, we have also supported food banks at all levels, including Nutrition for Learning, so that people have good food available to them. We've also invested in homeless shelters to make sure that people have a safe place to call home, because these are very challenging times. They're unprecedented times. And it's really about seeing the best in community, be able to come out and support each other. And what I can tell everyone listening is that the federal government is a partner. We know that we need to all work together. We will work with you, and we will continue to provide the supports that are necessary to help each and every person get through this. We know that there are hard times. You are not alone. Reach out and be able to ask for assistance, and that's why we're ensuring that community organizations also have the supports and resources they need. If there's ever a question about federal supports, reach out to your member of parliament. Also, if you go to canada.ca/coronavirus, you can see all programs that are available there, and all up-to-date information will continue being available there.
And I think one other really difficult part of this pandemic has been, of course, racism. We saw it at the beginning with, unfortunately, the Chinese and the Asian communities. And now that I guess this has become more of a global pandemic, do you think there is still that aggression and that racism? And should Canadians be concerned about the aftermath of this pandemic?
I'll tell you that in Canada, we have no place for discrimination, for racism. We should always be really mindful as to how we carry ourselves. And I think what's important and what I've been really impressed with is the Prime Minister providing updates every single day to Canadians, seeing cabinet colleagues also available to provide real information, relevant information to Canadians, as well as our officials such as Dr. Tam, because we are making our decisions based on science. We believe in evidence-based decision making, and that's why we can see that the work that we're doing is working. we put measures and restrictions into place by working with provinces and territories and regions and municipalities to ensure the health and safety of all Canadians. And that's why I'll tell you that we know that in Canada, diversity is our strength. We will continue ensuring that information is available in all different languages. And part of myself, even, like, I'm the child of immigrants. My family immigrated from India. My grandfather is not alive today, but I'm really proud that my first language is Punjabi. And it's important that I be able to work with my cultural community, my ethnic community, and my religious community to provide them relevant and good information. And that's why I think it's so important that you and I are having this conversation, because people who are listening to you, this is where they come for good information. And I have a responsibility to help provide that good information. So I really want to commend you for providing me this opportunity to have a conversation so that we remind everybody that they matter, they're important, and the federal government is here to work with them. And we have no space in Canada for discrimination and racism. Some of these comments that have come out, I will say that I condemn those comments. I do not support them. And I'm really proud of the diversity of our country. And I think it is definitely a source of strength.
I really appreciate you highlighting all of those different immigrant communities and multicultural communities, because I think in Canada, we have so many diverse communities that make up our country. And sometimes they don't have the access to that proper information. So again, before we let you go, do you have a message or something that you want to share with all of our viewers back home on TLN?
I want just to tell everyone that is watching and listening, keep healthy, keep safe, take care of yourselves, and continue taking care of your loved ones and your neighbors. Sometimes a phone call or just reaching out makes the world a difference, and you are doing a tremendous job. If there is information that the federal government is providing that you do not have access to, let us know. How can we ensure that you're getting good information? We want you to get it in the way that you need it so that we can all work together, because all of us together will come over this.
Thank you so much, Minister Chagger, for your words and, of course, for joining us.
Thank you. Take care.